Alright, hey everybody. I'm Chris with Few Remain, and welcome to another development night. Tonight we're going to start off with a couple things I've been meaning to do for the game. I'll probably start off with something easy, like this big dinosaur crystal I want to get in. And then we'll probably move on to something else, like getting the bat enemy back in the game, because it needs to be in there. Pretty cool enemy, he was in there at one time, and then I rewrote all the controllers for everybody, so he needs to be rewritten too. So, let's get started here. Let me find my dinosaur. Where are you at? If he's in here at all. Maybe I never brought him in. Yeah, probably never brought him in. So we'll find him real quick. Let's see. If anything is screwed up with the stream or anything, feel free to let me know. And I will try to fix it as soon as I can here. Also going to be giving out a free copy of Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. I have a Steam code for it, so I'll give that out to somebody if they're interested at the end of the stream. Let's see. There you are. So we're going to bring these in. Let them import real quick. You can tell the import kind of weird. That's just because I originally started the project with 2D or with 3D settings, so they don't import as sprites automatically. But that's a pretty easy fix. You just change it to sprite. I don't like any of my textures being compressed right now because with all the artwork we have, even without sprite sheets, it still runs like really smoothly. So we're gonna go ahead and leave that, and we're not gonna make that compressed. We're gonna make it true color. Actually, this thing mine is 2048, so that's pretty big. But that's okay because he's a freaking dinosaur. He's supposed to be big. There we go. And I do actually have an object I've used before to light stuff up, as you've noticed in the demo before. Similar with like the crystals. So we have like a crystal object right here. And within that we have a couple things going on. So we have the ground crystal script, which I probably am able to reuse again. The animator I'm going to have to change because it's going to have a bigger light coming off of this guy. And then it looks like I'm just toggling images on this, so it's a pretty simple object. I might actually use this as a base for the dino. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm just going to grab one of these guys, duplicate them, bring in this one dino. And let's see where that put me at. Let's stuck it over here. That's actually fine. It's pretty close to where I'm going to put this dinosaur at. Tell you what, I'm going to build him right here, and then we'll probably find a better place for him later. Because I kind of want it to be more like an Easter egg versus right off the bat where he's at. So let's move him a little bit over here. He's going to be actually in front of everything too. Let's move down here. And then, so I can test this really easily, I'm going to go ahead and move gray so he's a little bit closer too. Okay. Oh, that's an ogre. That's not gray. Gray's over here. Just going to move him up to where he's supposed to be. And I guess I could give a quick rundown too of what we did last time, because we did some pretty cool stuff within the last week or so since I've done the last stream. So I'll just show you guys some of the things we did, because they're pretty cool. So we got Gray. We actually layered him a little bit differently so that his light can react with physics. So that light that's swinging back and forth is now like realistic physics. It'll swing around with him when he jumps and does all that crazy stuff. So it's a little bit more of an interesting way to approach it versus what we did before. Some of the other stuff, one of the coolest things in my opinion so far that we've done with the game is his wall slide. I just think it's badass. So he's got this wall slide now where he actually digs his sword into the side of the wall, and then it creates a bunch of sparks and cool lighting and stuff like that as he slides down. I just thought it was awesome. Enemies too. So now the enemies, when they see you, their eyes will turn red. So it shows they're active. And then we changed the combat a little bit too to have like some blood splattering off the goblins. And Gray, when he gets hit too, he's going to have some blood spattering off of him. One of the changes I made too with that crystal kind of makes it so that the physics don't inhibit him as much when he jumps, because I nested the little crystal in his container. So now he doesn't actually, like, he's not affected by the weight of the crystal anymore. So his physics are a little bit off when he jumps. He's jumping kind of high right now, so we might tweak that a little bit later too. But if I get hit, he's going to bleed too, so Gray has some blood that flies off of him too, which is pretty cool. Kill this guy. Cool. Alright, so he's down, so we're going to go ahead and go back in and work on this dinosaur crystal here. Alright, let's see. Let's see. I believe this one's the dinosaur one. Yep. You can see right there, this one's the dino one. And just to make that painfully more obvious, I'm going to go ahead and switch out these sprites. So right now I have it set as this sprite 3 off, which honestly obviously that's gonna be the dinosaur off. So we'll put him up there instead, and he is absolutely huge. We might scale him a little bit too, I'm not sure yet. But we'll look at that in just a second. So then there's that. And then this one is going to be the dinosaur when he's on. And obviously he's not going to show up there because in the script this one's set to be deactivated right now. And another thing is these layers are going to have to change. So right now they're on the mid-ground layer, but they're only at 10, which will put him actually behind the player. So if I move this over right now, I should go like behind Gray. Yeah, that's not what we want. We want Gray to actually walk behind this guy. So we'll set it at something crazy high, even to put the effects behind it. So probably we'll put this thing up to like 1,000 or something like that, just something ridiculous, because I want it to be really up there in the foreground. And then we could do like 1,010 or something like that for the second one. Now we also have a light on here too. I'm going to be messing with that a little bit, probably in the animator for this guy, and that's mainly because it's going to have a lot more range applied to it and a lot more intensity because it's going to be an absolutely massive light. So let's see how that looks real quick right there. I'm going to go ahead and put this. Okay, this should show up just fine. But let me find a good place to put him where you can see him correctly. Wonder how that's going to look right there. Let me try that right there. Yes, that's absolutely huge. But then when you walk through, he lights up, and you can see Gray like still walking behind him. We might try to add in like some kind of like transparency or like warping or something behind the crystal later on. Would be really neat. And I might bring him down a little bit too now that I'm looking at it, because those rocks are a little high and it's kind of cutting into the background a little bit. So let me bring that down. So let's bring him down a little bit here. I think I might actually keep his collider about the same size though. And only reason for that is because I don't want him to be like lit up when he's over here and you can't really see it yet. Let's see what that looks like real quick. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Actually, that might be really good the way it is right there. That's pretty fun. One thing I think I'm going to do just to make everything blend a little bit better is tone down the color of the actual terrain, like the background of the terrain. You can see it down there a little bit, but then you can see how like the dark color of the dinosaur kind of cuts into it a little bit more than I want. So let me play around with that real quick. So on this terrain object you can mess with it a little bit as far as like the colors that are being used. So we have the fill right here. And let's see, what can I do with that exactly? That's the right one. So let's just set to diffuse right now. Let's see, what would I want to do with that? Set as break default. There we go. That's kind of the nice thing about sprites is you can tint them a little bit. So I can make it so it doesn't receive any color. Let me actually see how this looks real quick, since I set it to the sprite. It's actually a lot better already. Let me turn it down just a little bit more. Okay, yeah, that's much better. Cool, cool. Okay, so that's working as it should be. That was quick. So now I want to take a look at moving that. First of all, move it to somewhere a little bit more hidden. Let's see, where would that be a fun place? Might be fun to put it like down here because it is kind of like a little hidden area. And something you can do too in the editors if you're messing with dynamic light is you can kind of toggle on the dynamic lights so you can see them how they're actually going to look like as a sprite, like the default, just by clicking the lighting on and off. So that way I can actually see where I want to place the thing. And you know what? I want this thing a little bit off to the side, I think. And I think I might move this goblin off of here too, so it's just kind of like a cool little rest area versus having to fight like behind this thing, because that might get really annoying. But we'll just turn him off for now, just in case we might add him again later. So let's bring Gray on over. Looks good. And then we're going to turn the lights back on, and we'll do a test here real quick. Alright. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So now if you come running behind here, yeah, it's a pretty cool effect. And it'll light up and it'll be a gigantic dinosaur right there. And you shouldn't be able to see it from up there, I wouldn't think. But just in case, I'm going to test that too real quick. Yeah, so you definitely can't see it from down there. But if you fall down here and you're just like, oh, I'm going to keep going, you'll miss it. But if you cut back here, you'll be able to see it, which is pretty awesome, I think. Cool. Okay, slide down here. Okay. So on to the next topic. We're going to try and get this bat enemy in here too. Okay. So in assets, I think I had a prefab already set up for the bat. He's just a little messed up the way he is currently. So let me see here. Where's he at? At least I was pretty sure I did. Let's see. Goblin, ogre. There we go. This must be him. Okay. So let's find a nice like open area for us to play around with him at. Probably just at the beginning is going to be easiest. So let me drag out an enemy bat, and we're going to have to fix him up here. Let's put him right at the beginning. Let's see, so back to this. Go grab Gray again so I can bring him in here. You can always kind of tell where Gray's at because he has so many different like little detectors on him to tell what's going on around him. I wrote like a really, really crazy controller for him, but it works really well. Okay, so first thing I want to check is to see if this bat can even still see Gray. And this bat is also freakishly huge right now, so I'm going to have to fix that. I don't know if you can see him okay, but he's like even bigger than what Gray is, which is obviously not normal bat size. Bats of unusual size over here. So let's see if he can even see Gray real quick. Okay, so you can still see me. He is really screwed up though, he just fell completely through the stage. So let's see what's wrong with him. So we got our bat. There's a sonar, that's okay. I might end up replacing that too with some kind of ray or something like that that comes out of his eye, similar like the ogre uses. There's a skeleton, which is going to have to be adjusted. And bat target, and that's where he's headed towards. So if I left him alone, he would just kind of like go back and forth on this patrol. We're going to be adding like decision trees and stuff like that to our enemies a little bit later, but for now they're going to have just kind of basic patrols. So let me go back to the skeleton here. He is absolutely huge, which is not okay. Let's see if I just reload it. Nope. Okay, so an easy way to fix this is just go back into the skeletons. And we have our bat skeleton here. And I don't know if I've told you guys this on the stream before, but we're using spine for all of our animations, and it really, really adds like a lot of flexibility. It's freaking awesome. So like I can see all the different animations for the bat right down here in this preview window. So I can actually play through all the animations and see how they look for each one. Like that's when the bat gets hit. There's his idle. And then in attack mode, his eyes turn red and he flaps even faster. So this is pretty cool. So right now his scale is set to 0.01, but obviously he needs to be a lot smarter than that. So let's try half that. And then I should be able to just go back into the bat and hit reload on the skeleton. You can already see that that made him like significantly smaller. That's actually probably pretty close to what I want him at right there. Because you can see like the collider on him now matches pretty close to the way it should be. His layer is also kind of high, so I'm setting like 60. So he's got an animator for his explosion. It's been a while since I've actually messed around with the bat, so it's a little crazy here. So I have a sound manager on him, that's fine. Almost tangents. Alright. That's for the collider. So start ground and end ground. Kill box. That's his box collider, that's fine. One of the things I'm looking for right now is just a layer mask, because I know he's supposed to be checking to where the ground actually is. I don't see that right off the bat, so let me actually go in here real quick and see what we're messing with controller. Real quick. Trying to post in the chat real quick that if you guys are interested in the Street Fighter code that I mentioned for Steam, you can just shoot an email off to contact@FewRemain, and we'll put you in the running for it. I should have a pretty good chance. We got 6 viewers right now, so pretty good chance of getting that code if you're interested in it. Alright, so let's see. The audio. Guides for array cast, that's fine. There we go. So it's actually, right now, it's looking for a layer mask called ground. And this is kind of an older way to do it, just because you can have a layer mask like actually in here, and you can kind of drag different things into it. I think that one should actually be ground though. Let me double check. Yeah, so this layer is ground, so we should be detecting it actually. So let's try something different here. So first I want to move gray away so he's not actually chasing after me. And we're going to let him run real quick just so I can see where exactly he's going back and forth. If he's sinking into the ground still, if he actually does his patrol normally, because that would be one thing out of the way. Let's see. Okay, I think I understand what's going on now. So you can see right now he has his start ground and end ground, and it is picking up that there is ground there, because you can see now it's not, and he's just like falling a lot faster. There's a script that's actually, every time it detects the ground, it's kind of pushing him up away from the ground, so it's like he's flying, but it must not be pushing him enough anymore. The gravity's too strong. So we have our check ground script right there. Check ground. So that's follow player. So I'm going to try adding this real quick. See if that actually resolves it. And also, if the ground is hit, let's just make sure that it's actually supposed to move up. Let's check ground. That's fine. There we go. I'm just going to compare against the distance here real quick. Okay, so that's pretty close. He's not sinking as much anymore. And there he goes off the screen again. Okay. Distance -3. I'm going to try a couple times here, just tweaking some variables here to see if we can get him actually moving the way he should be. Really close. You can see in the console too, it's displaying like the distance actually from the ground right there. At a certain point it's getting to 0 just because he's falling through the map. And then actually you should probably catch it down here again. See ground coming. Let's see, just sink right through right there. We see that layer is ground. Just to make sure here, let's make sure these are tagged as ground too. I'll have to do it again here. There's ground. And ground. Yeah, he still seems like he really wants to go through that ground. He's got a death wish. And he starts falling. So I might have to go about this a little bit different. Let's see. Here's the bound skeleton. So we got our box collider. And we have a rigid body. This box collider I think is just for his hit. I don't think that manages anything else. He's got a health manager on here, which I think is fine. And then he does have a rigid body here where the gravity is actually affecting him. I'm just curious, let me try something real quick. If I change this to like a lower gravity scale, if he'll still fall through the floor, if what I have is going to be able to push him up where he should be. Yeah, he's still sinking considerably right there. Yeah, he's still sinking just about the same. So we're probably going to go about this a little bit differently than the way I had it originally set up. So I'll reset his gravity scale, which is fine because technically when he's falling I just need to reverse the amount that he's going through the floor by whatever the distance is. So we have this distance variable right here. And we actually have this move position too, so instead of moving to his transform, we could probably move to the distance from the ground away from it. So I want to make sure what this message is actually outputting at the beginning, because it should be doing the distance from the bat, or from the beginning raycast to the end where it's actually hitting the ground. So let's find out what that is. So it looks like we're running into about 5, and then as he's sinking, it's just going down. Okay, we could work with that. Alright, let's see. So that ground check. So we know it is hitting the ground collider. Yeah, so it is actually detecting the ground right here. So this is where it should actually be doing our modification for the ground. So this one right now, it's move to y equals transform.position.y plus the ground check.point.y. Which ground check.point should be that very bottom part. Could probably do this a little bit differently. So we need to set like a default distance from the actual ground. So it seemed like 5 was pretty close. So we're going to use that right now. So let's see what we have up here for movement. So we got alert, animation speed, that's still fine. So just so I can mess with it, let's make it public first. We'll do a float, and we'll say maybe it's fly height. Be a good name for this. And let's start with 5 since that's what we wanted. So we could say if, okay. Move towards transform. Dot position, move to, and speed. Yeah, so he's got that ground check in place, so let's... Because the idea was to make it so that he can't fly through walls and stuff like that, which you could put in wall checks and stuff like that too. Yeah, so we're just messing with these two variables, move to x and move to y, to determine where he's actually moving towards. So you can see the move to variables right here, these new vectors, and it's just move towards this right here. And that's just adjusting the bat's speed. Yeah, so it looks like I was just adding on the ground check. So instead, we could say maybe if the ground check dot point, or we could actually use distance for this, I believe. So we could do if the ground check dot distance is less than our fly height, then we want move to y be equal to, we'll set it to, let me see, so I'm going to move that to the position. So we transform that position.y. Let's see. So we'll set the move to y equal to, let's just try fly height real quick. I wonder if that'll give us like a really choppy flight or not. And you know what, it's actually going to be the transform where it's currently at, that's fly height. We'll add to that. Let's see what that does real quick. Testing, testing. So you can see it's a little bit choppy right now. I might try to smooth that out a little bit later, because you can tell it's still trying to fight him through the ground. It's just hard resetting it right now versus like trying to lerp it or something like that. Which you should be able to lerp it instead. Let me try adding just some smoothing to it. Let's see. So I'm using move towards right now. So I'm actually curious if I can just toss in a vector 3 lerp here. I don't know what that would do. Yeah, obviously not what I want it to. So now he's freaking out. He's lerping, so you can see like a little bit of smoothing going on when he's flying back and forth. And that may be more the speed. Let me try tuning down the speed real quick, actually. So his calm speed set to 4. Let's try to turn it down to 2, or even 0.5. So the challenge with using lerp is that you can use the actual distance they've covered versus their actual length that they have to travel to make it more smooth. Right now what it's doing is it's just using that default 0.5, so that's why he's slowing down a lot when he comes to like turning around, which is actually kind of cool. I'm not sure I hate it, so yeah, you know what, let's go ahead and switch it back. I'm not in love with it. So we're working on actually smoothing it out later. So let's work on the second part, which is him actually coming after the player. So we have this if follow player, and that's just being checked all the time. So we have follow player, and this is where he has this big collider out in front of him that's like the bat's sonar, essentially. So if it detects a player, it switches his mode to come and attack the player instead. And let's just see if that works real quick. Okay, so I got gray right there. I freaking smashed my controller to bits. Alright, so there's the bat. Yeah, so you can see he kind of sinks down when he comes after me initially. He just like absolutely drops. But then what's nice is he's actually flying back to where he's supposed to, so that's kind of nice. But I want his movement to be completely different from that, just absolutely dropping. I can't even tell if I could kill him because he's flying straight to the floor too fast. If you guys have any questions too, feel free to just ask in the chat, and I'll try to address them as I come along. Or if you guys want to see anything specific. Alright, so back to bat here. Okay, so back to the code. We have if follow player, so or have the move to Y. I'm not sure I like that right there either, because it's all based off these ground checks, which is pretty inferior to the fly height stuff beyond the smoothing. I think we're already setting the new target when it comes to tracking the player. So we have follow player equals true. Move normal, track player. Yeah, so we got a line cast right there. Probably part of the reason it's choppy too is because the actual movement is happening in this fixed update, which happens on every physics update. It doesn't happen constantly on every frame like update would. So probably just simply moving that to an update function will fix that smoothing. I'll work on that part later. Let's get into the actual fun stuff here. So we need to make him actually come after the player. Here we go. So his X is already being changed to the target location's X. Cool. Ground checks there. 3 drops another 2. I don't understand why I'm not using the actual like Y position of the character itself instead of just kind of scooting the bat along the bottom of the floor, because if I use the actual like character's position, I kind of follow him like up and down and stuff like that. So I think I'm gonna put another variable in for that. That's the header for the animations. I'll organize this stuff later. I just want to code right now. So we'll set this one privately, and this will be not target location, but we'll do like player Y or something like that. Should work for this. And that's going to be a float. And we don't know what that's going to be yet, so we're just going to leave that blank. So then we have this move to Y option, or we have the if it's detected. So this is setting our move to X equal to the target location. Okay. So this one we're going to set the player Y equal to our target location. Oh, you know what? That's just our target. That's not our actual enemy. So where's track player at? Time scale. Follow player. Hit die. This is kind of interesting because it's not actually setting the move to X or move to Y in here anywhere, or the actual like player. Oh, here we go, move attack right here. So we're actually using the player and setting it in here. Okay, so we could use this right here then. So player Y is equal to player dot transform dot position dot Y. So instead of setting the actual transform position, I'm going to set move to Y, because this one is really like abruptly just like shifting the bat, and I think that's where it's kind of breaking a little bit, because the ground distance is greater than 3, so it's just absolutely forcing that bat down. And when it does that, it's just breaking him through the ground and just screwing everything up. So I'm just going to comment out this stuff for now. And instead, we're going to do move to Y is going to equal, let's see, let's just start with the player Y. I'm not sure where exactly Gray's Y is, but I have a feeling that it's probably like more towards his feet, because that's where I put his like center point at. But we'll see what we get with that. If the bat flies directly at his feet, then we know it's at his feet, and we'll adjust a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So you can see he's chasing me, but he's like chasing me right at my feet, which is still scary. Then I can jump over him and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, he's chasing me right at my feet, which is a lot better than what we had. Okay, so apparently I could still kill him because he just broke through the floor and died somewhere. So let's see. So if we're going to move to the player Y, I guess we could... Oh, let's see what this one's doing. Because I noticed too, after you actually leave, he's kind of like, well, he flies straight back up, so that's okay actually. So instead, let's do player Y minus 1. I just want to see how that gets us, how close that gets us here. He comes after me, and I went the opposite direction. Of course I did. Freaking X and Y coordinates. It actually looked low anyway, kind of like a low estimate, so we'll do +2 in that case. There's the bat. Oh yeah, that's like perfect. So he's gonna fly right at your face. And then when you jump over him, he kind of loses you for a little bit. And then you can still hit him. Still have an issue right there with his fall, because he's not actually hitting the ground anymore. He's just falling straight through it. So that's definitely an issue. We'll take a look at that here in a second. One other thing I want to make sure of is that he's not flying like too close to the character, because he has been like in his face before. And that could be an issue, because then you can't swing your sword and hit him because he's like over top of you the whole time. So let me make sure that's not an issue now. So if he comes in here, yeah, so see he's like directly over top of me. You could still hit him, but that's pretty annoying that he can get like that close to you. So right now I have the move to X equal to target location.position.x. But instead I can actually switch this, so we're doing move to X is equal to the player.transform.position.x. So we can do a couple things here. Let me think, what's the best way to do this? Do a couple things. Fixed up. Okay, move attack, move normal. I'm kind of using an old-fashioned way to actually flip him here too. I'm not sure I like that either. So one thing I could do here is you can see right now that his X scale is is 1 and he's facing left. So one thing that's kind of typical with like colliders and stuff like that in players. Yeah, thanks for letting me know that the stream is lagging a little bit. Here in a second I'll pause and I'll adjust some settings real quick. Let me go ahead and finish off this left or right facing. So I'm not sure if I have one in here for him, but generally it's a pretty easy thing to set up. It's just basically a boolean, so do a private bool facing right. And then since we're already flipping him down here, we can actually start out because we know he's not facing right. So we could say facing right equals false because he's always going to be facing left to start out with. But then down here, if you're setting his scale, if you're setting it to 1, facing right is going to equal false. And if it's -1, just the opposite. Facing right equals true. And then down here we could do a couple of different things with this move to X. So we could simply say if he's facing right, do something. Okay. So right now this is going to do the exact same thing, and I want to restart the stream and continue here, so give me just a second. But if I play this right now, it's going to do the exact same thing, because regardless whether he's facing right, it's still going to do the same thing. It's going to be kind of on top of the character, which is annoying. So you can see if I walk up to him, he's just going to fly like right in me and kind of hang out there. And then he loses interest every 3 seconds, and then if he detects me again, he's going to fly all over me. So I'm going to stop the stream for just a second, guys, and go ahead and adjust some settings to maybe make the video quality and stuff a little bit better for you guys. I'll be right back.